Jump in. So I'm Marie. I'm the lead product manager for version control at Unity. I've been at Unity for over 2 years and a half now, and I have been working with the Plastic SCM team since they joined Unity over now almost a year and a half ago. And we're here today to talk to you about what we are doing right now with the upgrade of Collaborate to Plastic SCM. And we hope that we can answer all of your questions and give you a presentation that's going to give you a good overview of what this means and what this is going to mean for you guys in the future. So Manu, I'll let you introduce yourself.
Thank you, Marie. So hello, everyone. My name is Manuel Lucio from Spain, and I've been working in Unity only for 1 year and a half, but I've been working in Plastic SCM for the last 12 years. So it has been a wild ride so far. I'm currently the Plastic SCM support manager, and I'm always happy to answer users and questions, problems, and so on. So if you need help, count on us.
Awesome. Thanks, Manu. All right, so what are we doing right now? We will soon upgrade all Collaborate users to Plastic SCM. You might have already been migrated. We have started migrating cohorts since December. If you have not yet, this migration is going to happen over the next week/month. We are in the process of doing them as we speak. So what does that mean, upgrading from Collab to Plastic? Can you press please next, Manu? Yeah, perfect. Yeah. So Plastic SCM is now available in the version control package. So you might have noticed over the past few months, we've made modifications to the Collaborate package. The first modification we had made was basically calling it version control instead of Collaborate. The idea behind this change was that basically we brought the Plastic SCM functionalities to the Collaborate package, and we rename it version control. Why did we go this way? We get that question often. Why did we go this way instead of creating a completely separate package? The reason is it's going to be easier for you to get upgraded if we do it with, and we have the two different plugins inside the same package. All right, so if you go next, yes. So basically, this is why we're asking people in the best, like if it is possible for you to minimize the impact of the upgrade, we strongly recommend that you upgrade your projects to one of the following editor versions. So these are any of the 2019.4 or 2020.3 LTS. The reason why there's a specific version mentioned in so basically 32F1 and 20F1 for 2020.3. This is because this specific version introduces the hub functionality that's going to allow you to have people join projects directly through the hub. Because basically we're going to be able to download the project for you. The current text stream is also supported, so 2021.1, 2021.2, and 2022.1. Again, make sure that you're using the right minor upgrade versions in order to benefit from all the functionalities. And we'll show you, like, I'll explain a little bit what that means. So if you press next, Manu. So once you are on one of these versions, what is going to happen is if you have a project, so let's start with the local scenario. If you have a local project installed on your computer and you are using one of these versions, as soon as we upgrade you to Plastic SCM, the next time that you open your editor, you will be prompted to do a local workspace migration. And basically everything will be done for you. We'll just create the Plastic workspace and you'll be able to resume working with the new integration of Plastic SCM in Unity. If you are using one of these versions locally, you'll be able to get it from the hub. So if you're using Hub 2.0, you'll be able to see it in the list, just like you did see your Collaborate projects before. And if you are using Hub 3.0, you'll be able to select your projects via Open, Select Remote Projects. So open remote projects, and then you'll see the list of projects, and you'll be able to download the latest version to your computer. So Manu will be showing you around the integration of Plastic SCM in Unity. So we call this integration Plastic SCM for Unity. Eventually, when when everyone is migrated from Collaborate will be shut down, and the package, the version control package, will use solely the Plastic SCM integration at that point. All right, so Manu, I'll let you show us around the integration.
Okay. Okay, thank you, Marie. So I'm going to explain you the basics of the Plastic SCM plugin for Unity. And first of all, obviously, is how you can open the plugin. You have this new icon on top, and if you press it, you will open this view that I have already opened. Okay, this is the Plastic SCM plugin. It allows you to do pretty much all the Plastic SCM operations in a really easy way. But first of all, I want you I want to highlight that Plastic can behave like a centralized system and as a distributed system. So first of all, you need to know if you are working with your local server or the Plastic SCM cloud. Take a look to the bottom of my screen that says that I'm working at main of Karting. Karting is the repository name, and then the server name. The server name in my case is Catacroker at cloud. This is Catacroker is the name of my organization, and the suffix at cloud means that I'm working with the Plastic SCM cloud server. If you are working with your local server, you will see at local, only at local. So I recommend you to work centralized using the Plastic SCM cloud because it's much easier for you and the entire company to work centralized. Obviously, you can decide. Okay, it's just a client-side decision. I can be working centralized, and Marie can be working distributed. You choose. That being said, I'm going to create a very small change in my scene. I'm going to, let me check if I can duplicate this this checkpoint and move it. Okay, well, I'm not moving it, making it bigger. Let me move it. Okay, let's duplicate it and create another one here. Okay, as soon as I control save, or I go to file, save scene, you see that I have my very first pending change here ready to be submitted. Okay, we call it check-in. When you run a check-in operation, you will create like a snapshot of that change. We call it change. So let's go ahead and say creating a new checkpoint. Okay, let's press check-in, and that is going to generate a new change set. Yeah, okay, a new change set in my project. Okay, let me open the Branch Explorer because it's really interesting to see how the change sets are created. This is the very first change set I create with you. Okay, and if you review the comment I gave it, okay, it will show you that it is creating a new checkpoint created just now. Okay, Spain time. So now, Marie, I know that you are preparing a ramp for me to be added to this scene, and I'm going to wait for Marie to submit one change at the same project. We are both working with the same project at the same time at the same branch, and Marie is going to prepare a ramp. I will retrieve her changes using the incoming changes view, and I will use them in my project. So I think, Marie, okay, you did it. I can see it.
Exactly.
I can see that I have a new change set available. So if I click view, I guess it will be the ramp. Cool. Yes, it is the ramp. Okay, perfect. So it's the ramp prefab plus the meta file. So let's get it. Let's click update workspace. That is going to get Marie's changes into my working copy. Let's go to the prefabs models directory, search for it. Here it is, the one Marie prepared. I'm going to add it to my scene and save it. Okay, again, as soon as I save, I have the scene ready to be submitted again. Okay, I always recommend to write a comment because it's later easier for your coworkers to review all the changes and understand what happened. So this is adding Marie's ramp. Okay, let's check in my changes. Perfect. And well, as I said before, I have all the changes created. Let me sort it. This is the latest one I created. You can see that I changed the main scene. Okay, easy. If I return to the branch explorer, you will be able to see two new changes. The one I have just created and also Marie's one. I guess this is the one, yes, from Marie. Perfect. And this is the latest one I created. Okay, you can always go back in time and recover the status. Okay, with plastic you can create multiple branches. That was not possible in Collab. But in plastic, what you can do is you can either use the branch explorer or the branches view. You can go here and switch your workspace to another branch. So for example, let's go into this branch, which is completely different. Okay, I did some modifications here. You just need to right-click the branch you want to switch to, select this option, and you will see that the entire scene looks very different, okay? I have, well, the player is much bigger, I have more trees, so you can always experiment by creating new branches in Plastic SCM. You are not going to affect the rest of the team. You are working completely independent on a branch, okay? So you are safe to test every single crazy idea you can imagine. So how you create a branch. Okay, let me do it. Let me return to main. Remember where the ramp was added. So I will get the ramp back here. Perfect. And I'm going to create a new child branch. I'm going to call it task 020. Okay. Crazy experiments. Let's create the branch. Notice there's a checkbox here that will make my workspace to automatically switch to the new branch created. So let's create it. Obviously, this is not going to change because the branch has been created based on this change. Let me show you in the branch explorer again. I think it's really interesting to show it. And you will tell it by this small house icon. This house icon represents where your workspace is located. Okay, when you switch back to main, the house icon will move to this change. That if you switch to another branch, the house icon will be here. Now I'm working in an independent branch, so that's why the house icon is here. If you don't want to open the branch explorer, you can always check this information from the bottom of the screen, okay? /main/task 020. That's where you are working. Okay, so now I'm going to change something. I'm going to first change a script. Okay, let's go to here, arcade card. Let's open it. And I'm going to, I don't know, let's move a method, a really easy change. Okay, I'm going to where I have a method here. Okay, let me, okay, or maybe this Boolean. Sorry, I will use a method. I think it's going to be easier. So this on collision state. Let's cut it. And I'm going to paste it a few methods above. Okay, save it. And I'm going to change something. The dot thing is going to be -2 in this case. Let's save it and close. Notice that I'm using Notepad++, okay? I'm not using Visual Studio. Although we have a plugin for Visual Studio, I'm not using any plugin outside of Unity. It's not a problem because Plastic is able to detect all the changes you make, modifications, move operations, removals, new stuff added to your project. So it doesn't matter if you don't use Unity directly, as I'm using here Notepad++, Plastic will detect all your changes. So let's close it. And well, it needs to recompile it, obviously. And once it's finished, you will see in the pending changes view that I have this new change pending to be submitted. Okay. Obviously, you can generate a lot of changes, hundreds of them, okay? So it's really interesting to go after you do your changes to diff it, okay? I can select this option, and we have something that is called semantic diff in Plastic. You remember that I moved a method a few positions up. It was 6 positions up. So I can always click this move, and then click here and compare it, okay? Because Plastic is able to read the C# file and understand that you moved a file, sorry, not a file, a method, and you change the method body as well, okay? That's why I have the method on collision state change and also move. This is what we call semantic diff. Okay, it comes by default with plastic. So that's my code change. Now I'm going to do a change in a file, which is going to be an image. So let's go to textures, UI, and I have this control scheme pop-up. Let's open it in Explorer. Again, I'm not going to be using something really complicated, just Microsoft Paint. Okay, enough. So imagine that I do a small modification, such as changing the color of the button. So I'm going to change this to green and this to green as well. And I'm going to do another change. For example, I'm going to do this line slightly bigger, okay, like this. Very small changes, but enough. So again, if I return to Unity, the PNG file is changed. And as I did before for the code file, I can diff it. I can right-click it, diff it, and I will get the differences between the previous release, the previous version, and the new version. Maybe this is complicated. Well, the green thing is easy to see, but what about the long line? That is more complicated to realize that there's a change here. So you can use this difference view to see the new line plus the green color change. Okay, this is very good if you want to cheat in the 7 differences game. Okay, you add the file to plastic, then you diff it, and you have all the changes between the 2 images. We have this swipe button that makes the 2 images at the same time, and with this slider, you can review the changes. Really interesting to review the modifications the artist team is doing. Okay, so now let's close it. Let's go back to plastic, and I'm going to do 2 change sets, 2 check-in operations, because you can select which file to submit to check in. First is going to be the PNG. PNG change new color and new line. Okay, let's go ahead, checking changes. Okay, yes. And the next change is going to be the code change. So this is a small change in method. Okay, perfect. So that's the second change that in my branch. Again, let's open the branch explorer, review it, because I think it's more interesting and more easy to understand. Okay, if you see it, okay, this is the child branch I created, this is the main branch, and the 2 change sets that I created. I can diff a branch as well, okay? I can double click it, and I will get an entire diff operation for the 2 change sets that are contained in the branch. It's exactly what I did before, okay? The method move, the new color, the new line, that's all. Imagine now that I'm not happy with the latest changes I made in this picture, okay? How I revert this specific file to a previous version. Okay, really easy. You go to Unity, you right-click the file you want to revert, you go to the plastic SCM options, view file history, and it's going to give you all the history, okay? The latest one is the PNG change, new color, new line. If we compare the latest revision with the first revision, we will get an accumulative change view for all the changes at once. So this is how the file used to look, okay, really clean, and now it has a few changes. Again, if you click differences, you will be able to see all the changes I made. Some lines here, a new option, some new colors here. Imagine that I don't like this at all. I want the first revision. I want to go back to the revision at the left. Okay, so it's very easy. You right-click the first revision, you select revert file to this revision, confirm it. Yes, I want to do that. And now, if you go to the pending changes view, you have the new, well, all the old revision pending to be submitted. If you diff it, it's going to be completely the opposite. The old revision is going to be the one with changes. The new revision is the one you reverted to. Okay, so the cycle is closed when you run a check-in operation. So reverting to original version. Much better. Okay, check-in operation going, and we have that file reverted. Okay, so I think that's pretty much it. I just reinforce that with plastic, you can do any kind of modification. I mean, you can rename, you can move, you can delete, and plastic will detect it, okay? Last thing I want to show you is exactly that. If you have this prefab and you rename it, let me do it. Okay, rename like white, for example. That is a plastic SCM move operation, and you can see how fast it is. Okay, and by the way, also I'm working with the plastic SCM cloud, so you can see that I'm using the check-in operation. I get the asset from Marie. It was super fast. Latency is really, really low, so it's not a matter of collaborative working with your company using plastic and the plastic SCM cloud server. Again, delete operation. If I remove something, that is going to be a removal for plastic. And if I add something, okay, let me create a new, I don't know, a new prefab here, like new ramp. That is going to be a new item to be submitted. Okay, so that's along with the change. Okay, that's all the categories you can get in plastic SCM, and obviously you can submit everything at once. Small refactor. Again, and let me open one last time the branch explorer. You have a new change that created. Obviously,
So
you can later. Yeah, go ahead, Mari.
Manu, so excuse me, I didn't want me to interrupt you. So what would you do then if you wanted to merge back to main? So if you wanted to change it to send those changes back to me,
yeah,
who basically the crazy stuff ended up being what we want to use in the
yeah.
project. So what would you do to send it back to me?
So the easiest option to do that, to move all the changes I made in the task branch to the main line, is to use the merge operation. So you right click, you go to this option, merge from this branch to. I select the main branch, okay, and this is going to be a fully automatic merge. Okay, this is all the content I created in the branch. There's no conflict to resolve. Just apply the changes. Let's go ahead, and this is merging my crazy changes. Okay, perfect. So as you can see, a new change that gets created, I can label it. So this is going to be my new version 1.3. And Marie, you can start using that. Okay, the entire team can start using this as the new version. This is the new stable point for my game. Okay, I can continue creating child branches. I can have people working at main. You decide. Okay, plastic will handle all the branches you want. Okay, we don't have any limitation. We will handle all the sizes. We support really big repositories. Our biggest user, I believe it's around 5 terabytes, a single repository. So we support really, really big repositories. So don't be afraid about creating child branches, about creating change sets, about adding everything you want to the source control. You can add not only the source code, but also the art. You can even add the documentation if you want. Okay, plastic will handle it. And I think that's all what I wanted. Obviously, there's 100 more things I would like to share with you, but we have limited time, so we will leave this for the future, I guess, or for the Q&A. If you are interested in some specific scenarios you want to cover, I will be more than happy to do that after the Q&A. So.
Thank you, Manu. There's two additional points that I'd like to touch on. So the first one is the plastic operations, download operations happen in the background. So I want to mention this because this is a big difference from Collab. So many of you might be familiar with the check-in, hold on, check-in for changes dialogue, which would pop up while, Collab is looking for changes from other teammates. Basically, every every time we check for an update from teammates or we do a download operation to your computer, that happens in the background. So you'll be able to continue working in the editor while a download is happening. And then you'll only basically need to update the scene once the changes are downloaded and now your project is ready to be updated. So that's a process is a lot faster in terms of you'll be locked of the editor for a way smaller period of time, only while the project is, updating or re-importing some assets or something.
Yeah, compiling and so on. Yeah.
And the other point that I wanted to touch on, which, for us working with plastic, it becomes kind of this thing that we just assume is something that we can do with all softwares, but with Collaborate, this is something we couldn't do. We have the ability to lock files. So we know that working with Unity is, a binary heavy task. So there's a lot of binaries that are touched, scenes. So if you want to prevent loss of work, anyway, you can lock any file that you're working on. So we've got exclusive checkouts. Oh, there you go. So Manu's showing. So you can check out the file. And so if Manu checks it out, then on my end, on my plastic install, I will see, I'm on my plastic client or in the plugin, I will see that the file is locked by Manu. So then if I need to work on the file, I can either reach out to Manu directly and ask him, hey, when you're finished with, when do you think you're going to be finished with it? If I want to work with it, then I won't create a conflict because once I try to open the scene, it's going to tell me that it's checked out already.
Yeah, and also imagine that I have the file locked and you don't have the latest version of the file. If I submit my changes, the plastic will force you to get latest. You cannot start working with a previous version because obviously that will generate a new conflict. And plastic will be smart enough to say, hey, you don't have the latest version for this file. You need to update. And then if you want, you can lock it. Okay. So yeah, that's a very good feature, locking. Thank you, Maria. I forgot completely about that. We take it for granted, but
exactly,
it's important.
We take it for granted. But yeah, so it's really about, you can integrate this in your workflows if you want to prevent, two people from working on the same binary file. I see we have a few questions already. So is there a way to link the Plastic SCM commit comments to a Jira ticket?
Oh, yes, it is. Actually, there's a full integration with Jira. So you can create branches from Jira tasks. So that is very interesting. And Plastic knows that the task is associated with a Jira issue. As soon as you submit something, that information will be stored in the Jira ticket. Okay. If you don't work based on branches, and you work based on main, just main, single line development, you can, using the check-in comment, you can specify which task are you working for. Okay, you are delivering changes to which task. So yes, it is possible. And actually, if you enable the Jira integration, you will be able to see, as you can see the comments here, change the scripts. Okay, this is coming from the comment. If you connect this with Jira, you will see the Jira information here. Okay, so yes, it is possible. And if you search for it, the Jira integration is capable of doing much more things, okay? Such as moving the Jira task from one status to another. So yes, it is really, really interesting. Thank you.
All right, we got some other questions. I'll walk you through that, Manu. So how do you set up a new project? Can you do it from within the Unity editor, or do you have to go to a dedicated Plastic app? Before we jump into the question, I just want to say something. Okay, so one thing that we didn't touch on is that, so Manu showed us the branch explorer and the different capabilities of Plastic. So we definitely do recommend you install the client, but what I want to make sure everyone knows is that you can get started with Plastic and Unity without downloading the client. So when we're going to migrate the Collaborate projects and the local workspace migration happens, you'll be able to do all common version control actions, basic version control actions, such as checking in, updating, looking at your change sets, creating branches. You'll be able to do all of that without the client installed. Now, what about, that branch explorer button that Manu used earlier? What would happen is if Plastic was not installed and you would click branch explorer here, it would give you a dialog box in Unity that would say, hey, do you want to download Plastic like to your computer? So then you'll have, those advanced functionalities, and then you'll be able to get started. So same when you're creating a new project, you can just open your editor as long as you're on a supported version, and you'll be able to create your workspace from there to your Plastic account, and then you could download the client afterwards. You don't need it upfront to create the project.
Mm-hmm. And I have to say that, as you said, Marie, if you have Plastic, the desktop application installed, it will request you to do that, but it's really, really fast and easy. It's basically almost everything is done in the background. So you will get Plastic up and running in 1-2 minutes. Okay, so should I go for that question about how to create a new project?
Yes.
Okay, so let's create a new project and add it to Plastic SCM. Okay, I'm going to not that one. For example, this is
while you're creating the project, Manu, I'll just touch on the last question. So if I make a change to a scene file, is that more readable in Plastic than in Collab? I think that's a fantastic question. Currently, the scene files are still, the diffs are still going to show YAML, but we are exploring ways to leverage Plastic in order to bring more of a human readable aspect to the scene files, and being able to diff more, make the diff more understandable and make it more efficient for you to see changes to a scene. But as of today, that's going to be the same diffing that you have experienced before. If you have any additional, so we'll be releasing our roadmap shortly by the end of the month. And we've got this under consideration. I strongly, invite you to, comment on this feature. We've got so basically in our roadmap, you can identify them as critical, important to your workflow. So if you think this would be beneficial for us to prioritize this, feel free to let us know.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so thank you, Marie. I have the brand new project created. This is completely empty. Just created a new sphere, okay, for the scene. And as you can see, Plastic, it's open automatically. Okay, if you don't get it, just click this button and you will see it. And it's requesting you to create a new workspace. As this is, let me click it. As this is going to be a completely new project, okay, you will need to create a repository for that. So the repository obviously is going to be empty because it's the very beginning of this project history, and it will be done automatically. So repository name is going to be demo game. You can change it if you want. And then the server name, again, this is really important. Okay, if you want to use the Plastic SCM Cloud, then use your organization name plus at cloud suffix. If you want to work distributed, that's another option. Just add local. I prefer working centralized, so I'm going to stick with centralized. So, and then we have a question. Do you need branching, merging, and all the developers' features? Yes or no? If you are more into the artist workflow, then choose the second option. It's going to be a little bit more easier for you, okay? We don't have time today to go into that topic. Okay, I'm going to use the first one, which is the default one. At the same time, it's going to be it's going to be easy as well. And that's all, okay? I click it. Now the information I have at the bottom is /main at demo game catacroker at cloud, okay? I have a few things to submit. Everything is, almost everything is added and prepped. I need to add the assets, the new scene, and this is the initial check-in operation, then check-in. And that's all, okay? If I open the Branch Explorer for this project, is obviously very, very small. I only have the initial change set, okay? That gets created as soon as you submit the project to Unity. And the one I did it manually. Okay. Now, if I want to give Marie access to this repository, I just need to share the name, and Marie will be able to get it from the Plastic Cloud, and we can start working at the same time with the same project. Okay. It took like what 10 seconds or something like that. Okay, really easy.
Thank you, Manu.
Now
So
I
we
can
have another
destroy.
question.
Yeah. I was about to say that now if I destroy the project from my computer, Marie can retrieve it. I can retrieve it if I go to another computer. Now the information I store locally is not important anymore because everything is in the Plastic Cloud. Go ahead. Sorry,
Thank
Marie.
you. Yes, of course. No, thank you for the clarification. So if someone locks a file and they are not accessible, let's say they are out sick and they forgot to unlock it. So is there a way to unlock or create a branch version to continue updates on the file?
Yeah, it is possible. In Plastic SCM, we have permissions. Okay, like the Windows security, the ACL system that you go right-click a file, properties, so on. We have a similar thing in Plastic. Okay, it's a very detailed security system, and you have this role of the Plastic SCM administrator. It might be a single user, it might be a group of people, and those special users are able to unlock the logs. Okay, so if you go on holidays and you forget about unlocking the file, and Plastic SCM administrator, which will be a coworker of you, obviously, will be able to unlock the file.
All right, and this is a good one too. So all good questions. Thank you so much, everyone, for all the great questions coming out of this Q&A. So which parts of the Unity project will be under source control management? And what about folders like library? So I think that's a really good question. We haven't touched on that, but if you show the change sets, Manu, we do create, when we start a project with Unity, we create a first change set with an ignore file. So if we go in and we create an ignore file for that follows the Unity standards.
I don't know if I have it here, okay, but you can add it after that, okay? By default, things like library will be omitted, okay? So, but if you want to create more rules, you can give me 1 second and I will do it for this. Imagine that you don't want this. As you can see, things like in library is not appearing here, but I don't know if I have library yet, but it won't appear here. But if it appears, it might be you don't have this ignore file and you need to add it by yourself. It's just a matter of right-clicking the item that is private and add it to the hidden changes list, okay? Actually, well, this is not, let me do it. It has to be private, sorry. It was added. So you will see like private, and as soon as you have it as private, you can go and say, I want to ignore this file. Well, it's not this specific, it's going to be all the files with this name or all the files with this extension or this specific file, /assets/new behavior. So I want to specifically ignore this one. So let's click OK, and it's gone, okay? So that's how you can do it. This one, the icon, you can see that it's slightly different. It has a gray icon here representing that it is ignored. Plastic will not be able to attempt to track it. If you remove it at the same time, if you remove that, it will be gone forever. You cannot recover it, okay? It's not under Plastic control. We have a blog post explaining the common rules that you might want to apply. So if you search Plastic SCM ignore.conf for Unity, you will be able to get it. It's similar to the git ignore, okay, if you are familiar with the git ignore file.
So we understand that some people might want to, so what we did is when you start the project in the, when you create your workspace with a Unity project, by default, we basically only commit the file, like use the files that are needed for the project in your version control according to the Unity best practices that are put up, but you can always add anything else to your project if you want, but we do provide like a default. When you get started, you see this is what happens when you create a project. By default, it adds the files that need to be committed first, checked in. That's another good one. So I have a personal account as well as one I use with my students. When I switch which account I'm logged into via Unity Hub, the Plastic account does not change. Is there any way to change which Plastic account I'm logged into, apart from using Mac Plastic configure on the command line?
Yes, there's an easy way to do that, but right now it requires the desktop application, okay? If you open, regardless of the operating system, you will be able to do that. If you open the preferences, you will see connection profiles, okay? So in this case, it's a good example. I have a connection profile to work with /games at cloud, which is not the Catacroker organization I'm used to work at. So if you create a new connection profile, you can use your credentials. This can be single sign-on as well. You can provide username and password. You can specify local server, which is configured by default, but you can specify another external Plastic SCM server if you are not using the Plastic cloud. So this is how you do it, okay? It's an external connection profile.
So, and to build on Manu's answer, so there's a way around it right now. There's just for awareness, we are working like on a new version of our client, basically the future of our client, which is going to be cross-platform, and that version is in alpha right now. We have people that are already testing it out as we speak. We are going to integrate in that version a way to switch accounts. And that is going to look a little bit more like what you might be familiar with things like a Google account or those types of switcher. So we'll have that too in the future. We're planning on getting that out sometime this year as well, to make it even easier to switch from one to the other. Does Plastic SCM bring something new to scene changes merging? That's also a very good question. So I will answer the same thing that I did with the diffing one. So right now, if you are using scenes, the merging and the diffing is the same as it was before. So that means we don't have a solution in place right now to more easily diff the contents of a scene. We understand that this is a Unity customer pain point that has been flagged, for years, and we are, exploring ways that we can help with that. But I'm always happy to talk with customers about that. So if feel free to reach out after the webinar. But for now, this is the same as it was before. So the only difference is you can prevent conflicts with locks, but the actual merging of the scene is the same.
To build on top of that, I just mentioned that the Unity YAML tool to merge prefabs and scene files, it's configured by default with Plastic. Okay, so you don't need to, if you have Unity installed already, that I guess it's the case for everyone, Plastic will auto-configure this tool for you, okay? The Unity YAML tool comes with every Unity installation. We are able to detect where this tool is located, and during the installation, we configure that as a merge tool. As you can see, we have a few of them, one for the Microsoft Word documents, another one for Unity and prefabs, for the meta files, for text files and binaries. You can add custom tools if you want as well, okay? Merging tools are not really version control super related. It is, but it is not like something that we deploy, okay? So you can use the one you choose.
So another one, regarding the cloud version of Plastic and the storage space in the cloud, are only the differences in files stored or complete copies of the changed files? You want to take that on?
Oh, yeah. We store the entire file. Okay. In, for example, systems like Git, you can choose if you want to store only the deltas, or if you want to store the entire file as well. By default, they store the deltas. We store the entire file. So if you submit a file, we compress the file, obviously, that reduce the size a lot for text files, especially. And we store it in the database. This is good for certain operations, such as the update or the history or the diff, because it is much faster because we already have the content, okay, and we just download it and display. We don't need to rebuild the file, okay. We don't have to go through the deltas to build the entire thing. So for some things, keeping the entire thing is better. For some others, it's not. Obviously, it's going to take more space in the storage. That is true. But it is also true that you can trim the repository size. Okay, there's a special command in Plastic SCM to remove from the database, from the Plastic Cloud storage. You can use this tool to remove some of the data. So the space used by your organization will decrease.
And to build on that, Manu, so we have a command called archive that allows you to trim your repo at this time. We are also working right now towards getting that command exposed in a user-friendly UI so that you can manage, do I want to keep only like the last year of revisions for a certain audio file or for a certain model, so that you can, especially for binary files that can be very, costly in terms of storage. We want to make sure that we provide, a solution to all of you guys so that you can control what you want to keep in the cloud repo, so that your repo doesn't get like too inflated over time if you're doing a lot of modifications to binary files. Cool. So next, our Unity collab projects have team members set via the Unity dashboard, via Unity Teams. Will this be all migrated over to Plastic, including user accounts? So unfortunately, so what's going to happen at time of migration? The first thing that we do is we make sure that we create an organization that maps to your Unity organization for your Plastic SCM projects. Your Plastic, basically, and your projects are becoming Plastic, what we call a Plastic SCM repo, which is basically where the space that you're working in that contains all your files, including your Unity project. And so then what is going to happen is the owner of the organization is going to get a specific email telling them about the process of moving, the management part of this to them over to Plastic SCM. For the users that are part of the organization, they will all get an email telling them that like their Unity account using Unity ID is now connected to this Plastic organization, and so they'll already be members of that organization, and they will be able, for example, to join a project through the hub or continue working with the project that they currently have. So I hope that answers it. About the blog, which is the bad information I've seen so far on this transition, states at the end that all unarchived projects will be deleted on February 28th. Is that true, or will all unarchived projects be transitioned to Plastic SCM? Oh, that's a good question. Okay, so during the upgrade process, what we do is every single commit that you've made to collab in the past, right, is moved over to Plastic. So we're not only moving the data to Plastic, we're also moving the history. So theoretically, if your project has been ongoing for 3 years, you're still going to be able to go back to 2 years ago, right? So to like a version you had 2 years ago, where it's not a reset, right? We're moving the history over as well. Now, on the collab side, so the project is going to be upgraded. It's going to be migrated to Plastic, but the data will still exist in Collaborate for a while. And once so basically see it as like we're making a copy. So everything is copied over to Plastic, and the project that used to live in Collab is going to be archived. So basically at the end of the migration process, all unarchived projects will have been copied to Plastic, and all unarchived projects that were in Collab are going to be archived. So the reason why we're doing that is because there are users who want to export the data and go and use another version control system, for example, or might not want to use Plastic. And so, we're taking like a users first approach. If people are more comfortable with that, we want to make sure that they have a way to get a Git export of all the projects that they had in Collab. So basically, we're going to keep that data up and running for people to be able to export it. But anything that you have unarchived right now will be copied to Plastic before it is archived. I hope that answers the question. So, I think I unfortunately marked the question as done. That was not done. So what about source parts that are normally hidden, like Unity input system or HDRP graphic components?
Maybe I'm wrong, but that is a story in the pre settings directory, right? Or I'm not completely sure. I'm sorry about this, but if those preferences are stored in a file, you just need to make sure that file is added to the source control. If you don't want that to be in the source control, then ignore it. At the end of the day, all the preferences are in files, so I guess it's a story in a file, but I cannot remember where.
Okay, so Jeremy is asking follow-up. I didn't quite understand how the connection profiles would work in Unity to allow multiple accounts. Would
Thank
all
you.
of those would all
Thank you
those
for that question. Yeah, because I forgot to clarify
yeah,
that.
would all of those Plastic accounts be usable in Unity simultaneously? Or would we need to somehow switch between which profile was active? That's a good question. Good clarification.
Yes, first one. As soon as you have a connection profile to multiple organizations, you will be able to access it. Okay, you don't need to switch your context. You don't need to log in, log out. You will be able to access. I'm able to access Catacroker Cloud. I'm also able to access Banana at Cloud. I have two profiles. If I target one, Plastic will use those credentials with Banana at Cloud. If I access Catacroker at Cloud, it will use another credentials. Okay, it might be the same one, but it might be separate accounts. It might be my Gmail account for one. It might be the Unity ID account for the other. So Plastic will handle it automatically. Okay, Plastic will know which connection profile to be used based on the server you are targeting. No need to log off, sign off, nothing. Okay, it will transparently work.
We have one last question from Jeremy, which is a really good one too. So in Collab, only the most recent commits counted against total space. So yes, and how is that going to be in Plastic? So one of the things is Collaborate basically only showed you the head of the project, so the latest version of your project, and that was the only thing that was calculated against your costs. Plastic counts the whole history as costs, so that is but Plastic is more efficient in terms of like the space it takes because of the way that we compress the files. So the commitment that we took is that basically when people get migrated, even if there's a differential, even if, for example, it would take a bit more space than it did before, there will not be any additional costs that will be incurred. That the person is going to be grandfathered into like a migration differential, so that they are not charged more for the same project they had before. However, for additional storage, so 25 gigs, each 25 gig is $5 in Plastic, and $7 for each new user. And so if, without going into the details of that, there can be like, so the costs are very similar, but the whole history will count towards that. And that is why it is so important for us to provide the trimming functionality that we talked about, to make sure that if someone is not comfortable keeping more than 10 revisions, let's say, of a model, or 10 revision of an audio file, there's a way for people to do that and control the costs this way. I'm happy, like I see that we're out of time. If there's any other questions, we're more than happy to follow up on any other questions about any topics that you might have, and provide more details also. So I remain available, Manu too, like we would be more than happy to answer those questions.
Yeah.
I see, do we have anything else before we wrap up?
We have one regarding the archive again.
Is there a feature similar to archive in plastic, or do we just trim? So when we would have archived?
Well, actually, we have the CM archive command. Okay, as Marie said before, we are going to be promoting the CM archive command to a we action, and it will be more more handy to use it. But right now you can use the command line. There's a few samples online, and you can archive, for example, files bigger than 100 megs. Yep.
Just to build on that, Manu, so the archive in collab is not the same though. The archive in collab is basically just putting the project on on ice, and you're not really charged for it, which is not the case with plastic. So if you're keeping the data and the history, you're going to be billed for it. So basically, there are going to be ways with what Manu is describing to say, okay, I just want to keep a copy of the project, but I don't care about the whole history. You could reduce significantly the size of it, but there's no way to archive it to avoid having costs for that project, for instance. Does it work with, oh no, there was a
question. I answered that, yes.
Oh, you did. Okay,
yes,
perfect.
I answered that. It was, do we support Unity Cloud Build? Yes, we do.
And we do have a knowledge-based article on how to reconnect it after the upgrade, because you just need to connect it to the plastic repo. There's one manual step to take. There's a knowledge-based article on unity.com about that, and also in some of the resources that Manu is showing. So if you go to the webpage, Upgrading to Plastic SCM, shown here, that webpage describes how, has a link to the knowledge-based article as well. And also we're planning, more things for the integration with Cloud Build moving forward as we build our, the integrations between our products. So the goal is to have Cloud Build deeply integrated with plastic. And about the sources part that are normally hidden, like the Unity input system. Okay, so files are stored in packages, but these can be modified with some third-party tools. This might have the better. Okay, as versions are tied to specific versions. So
in that case, yeah, you should add it to the source control.
Yeah, so I think, yeah, so so in plastic, you can add any type of files, right? Like Unity or non-Unity, like Manu was saying. So theoretically, if you have a package that is customized, or you could add it to source control. So there's a way to add it, and then you could keep
there are a few exclusion rules. So for one directory, you can have a few files, ignore some, others not. So you can do that with exclusion rules for the ignore.conf. And to give you another idea about the archive theme in Collab, if you don't want to be charged for the space in the plastic cloud, what you can do is to pull all the repository locally, okay, like replicating, pulling all the history to your local computer, and then removing the repository from the plastic cloud. So you will free all the space used by that repository, okay? Obviously, you have to keep that backup, that history locally, or transfer it to another storage just in case. But it's just another idea.
a few comments that I saw. So in the chat as well. So Jeremy, to follow up on it would be nice for Unity for the accounts to switch automatically with the Unity credentials. I 100% agree, and we're going there. We're not there yet, but that's the goal. We want to, make it so that basically everything is tied to Unity ID in a way that, like, basically based on the Unity ID you're using at one time, it just switches or like naturally as you're working. So that's in the plans, just not yet. Student pricing. I have a group of 40 high school students who will be using Unity next year. I cannot answer that part at this time, but we can. I guess I don't know if you are in touch with our education team. We're reviewing right now the bundle. So, Unity Teams, we've announced already that there's going to be changes to Unity Teams. That's going to be announced a bit later this year, like the way that things are going to be bundled and packaged. So there might be offerings with that new package, but it's going to be a bit different from the Unity Teams setup. So we're keeping Teams for the time being, and Teams stays for the time being, but as with Plastic as the option instead of Collaborate. And then once those announcements are made about new bundling, hopefully we'll get more details for you. I don't have those details yet. Will it be possible to create links to Plastic projects that could be imported in the package manager? Yes, that's a very good one. So yeah, we're working towards getting that. So unless, if I understand the question correctly, you're referring to the ability to add a package from a Git URL in the editor. So yes, we have plans to bring that. I don't have a fixed timeline for that, but yes, we have we have plans for that. We definitely want to make Plastic, very integrated with both the editor and other services like Cloud Build, for instance.
I'm eager to have that feature.
Yes. Me too. Will there be a grace time when projects are migrated before billing kicks in? Case we have a lot of huge projects sleeping in Collaborate, or should we make sure that it's not the case before migration? Oh, that's a very good question. So Plastic is not going to bill, like Plastic is going to bill based on like a week before you are billed. It's going to check the storage that you're using. So theoretically, the day that you get the message about the migration, like that the upgrade happened, if let's say you have 100 gig, you can go and you could do the work of like deciding what you keep, what you want to remove. And 3 weeks later, then you'll get an email telling you, hey, okay, you have 20 gig. So this is what you're, this is what we're billing you for. So we're not going to bill you for what you had the day of migration, but what you had, 3 weeks after migration. That being said, if you run into any issues while, Manu, who is in leading our support team, we have a really great, incredible support team that like we're willing to assist, if you're running into any issues at the time of billing for the first bill, and that you're trying to get that working correctly for you, let us know.
You can write us to support@plasticscm.com. Okay, if you have any kind of questions, and we will be more than happy to help you onboarding into Plastic.
So again, like I know, thank you so much everyone for taking a bit more time in your day to chat with us. There's like, again, Manu and I would be super happy to answer any other question after this webinar. So feel free to reach out to us on the forums or on support@plasticscm.com, as Manu was mentioning. I would be happy to catch up, even if we get an email through support. You can, if the questions go through there, Manu will be in touch with me so that we can answer any outstanding question. And we're here to assist you in this transition. We understand that like these kinds of upgrades and migrations are, impact you guys and impact your lives. And we are at a point where we have to do that transition right now, but we want to make sure that we do it while supporting you the best way that we can. So anything we can do to help alleviate some of the questions that you have at this point, feel free to reach out. All right. Cool. Well, thank you so much, everyone.
That's it.
We appreciate your time, and hopefully we wish you a great upgrade process through this, and we're looking forward to chatting with you again if there's any questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
And thank you, Manu.
Thank you, Marie.